Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just roll through this lesson really quickly. This is the warm up, so it's just going to ask you to name the three parts of an introduction and the five parts of a body paragraph. And then I'm going to go over to components of a conclusion. And components of a conclusion is going to look just like the notes that we took for introduction and for the body paragraphs. So when you get to this screen, all I really need you to do is fill out that first part. So like there's three parts to a conclusion. There's a restated thesis, a recap of the main points, and then a final thought. So all that I really need you to do is just tell me what you know. Bring your prior knowledge here and just tell me what you know about a restated thesis or what you think it is. And same thing for recap of main points. That's pretty much all that you need to do here. And then we're going to move on to the next section, which is just the answers for those. See, like this is a page. There's nothing to turn in here. But you do need these for class. I want you to have the notes for components of an introduction, components of a body paragraph, and components of a conclusion all in your folder. And I don't care how you do that. If you like print this off, that's fine. If you write it, like if you print out a blank copy and write it down, that's fine. Whatever. Just make sure that you have a copy so that we can use it when we're doing the writing in class. You can refer to it when you're actually writing your conclusion paragraphs. So let's move on to the last part, which is matching conclusions to introductions. Now, this is where you're going to spend the bulk of your time on this lesson. So after you've looked through the notes for components of a conclusion and compared what you knew about them to the actual notes themselves, after you're a little bit more familiar with conclusions and the steps for conclusions, then you can move on to this. I know we haven't directly done any practice with conclusions in class yet. We will very soon, but and in fact, if you're in that first group, we will probably already have done a little bit. But just like we talked about in class, your thesis is the keystone for your entire essay. It's what's in your thesis is gonna determine pretty much everything else in your essay, including the conclusion. And in fact, the conclusion contains a lot of the information that you have in that introduction. And a lot of it is based on the thesis statement, which we'll see as we go through this. But what this is going to do is give you an introduction paragraph, just like if I would write it based on an article or whatever. It'll be like this right here is the paragraph, complete with thesis statement. As you'll see, it is the last sentence of that paragraph, which is where it should be in your introduction as well. So here's our thesis. The saying, "You are what you eat," is most definitely true because of the effects diet can have on academic performance, weight, and overall health. So it's a three-part thesis, just like we've done in class. And like I said, that's going to determine what's in our conclusion. If you read through this paragraph, it kind of talks about like all of the bad consequences of eating poorly. That's the basis of the paragraph. But as you'll see when you go through this exercise, that thesis is basically all you need to write the conclusion. So like you'll just kind of work through the steps. You'll go down to right here. After reading this introduction, I want you to write a conclusion that matches it. So you're going to follow the steps that you receive. Step one is going to be to reword this thesis. That just means I don't want the information in that thesis to change. That's our thesis. It can't change. So I want it to say the same information, but I want the order of the words to be a little bit different. For instance, Every three-part thesis contains a claim and three parallels. Okay, so in this case, the saying "you are what you eat" is most definitely true because of the effects diet can have on, is our claim. And then the three parallels that follow: academic performance, weight, and overall health. But you don't have to do it in that order. Like, you could put those parallels first and the claim last. Like, academic performance, weight, and overall health are affected negatively when you eat poorly, or something like that, right? So, and there's other ways to do it, and you can try a different way if you want to, or whatever. We'll work on a few of those in class. But it's a good way to do it if if it's an easy way to do it. And then you're going to move over to step 2, which is summarize the main argument of each paragraph. So all that means is, step 2 says summarize the main argument of each paragraph. You're going to have to make this up based on the thesis. So that's going to be, you'll see from your notes, part 2 of the conclusion is gonna focus on the 3 body paragraphs. It's actually like a summary, like a 1 to 2 sentence summary of each. And in this case, since we didn't actually write the body paragraphs, you are going to have to make it up. Okay, so like I might say for the first claim is, or the first parallel, is academic performance. Right? So I might say, like, it's been proven that academic performance is negatively impacted when someone eats poorly. Like, and the second sentence might say you can't do well in school if you don't eat well. Right? And that would kind of like, now, like I said, I'm just guessing there, right? I'm kind of making this up. But that probably would be my focus, right? Same thing for weight and overall health or whatever. But you need probably like a sentence or 2 for each of those, and then you'll move on to the final thought at the end. Okay, but that is it for this lesson. And remember that we're just kind of practicing here on that conclusion. So give it a try, right? Kind of work through the steps and be systematic, and it'll get a little bit better as we go.